Alright, so here is my level. Here's the door, which we will get into here shortly, and the key. So, the door and the key. So let's say the player doesn't turn around to get that key, but they see this door over here. I have a print string that says key is required, so they can't just arbitrarily go through the door. So let's say they skip it. But in this case, key is collected. So that gives the player an indication to know that, hey, they got the key. So now let's say we go over to the door. And now the door will open. And the player can go through. So this is like the first path that was discussed before. And then they would need the other key to then access that, which is over there, but we'll get to that in a second. Well, here's the key for this door. Key collected. That door requires the key over there, but again, we'll get to that in a second. And then we go into here. And this door will then open to then access the final part. But let's say they didn't do that. So we're going to start, put the keys back. And we're going to go over here. So we don't have any keys. We're not doing anything. Can't get through. So then the player will then go into here if they explore, because the only way to find that is if you explore, otherwise it's not just given to you. And the same thing with this one. Player will be able to open the door. And then over here we have the traveler, which again has a key and opens this door. And the player can go on through. So now we'll look at the actual build for this stuff. So here we have the door, and because I have that overlap, I wanted to make sure that it would only be triggered by the player, so if something got in there for whatever reason, it wouldn't trigger the door. And I had to add a boolean to the character itself, which I will showcase here. I thought I had it open, I did not. So all I did was add has key. That's all it does. Nothing special there. And then I called it over here and plugged it into a branch. So if the player has the key, it will then play this timeline, which is set here. And the final dot, this one is set to 0. I have this one set for 10 and 500 because it was just moving way too slow or way too fast. So that seemed to be the happy medium. And we'll go back here. So after the timeline plays, it'll only animate that door. So it's not, animating in the wrong direction or in the wrong area. And then if the player does not have the key, we'll then go to a print string that says key required. So that's the door itself. That's all it's doing. Pretty easy. The key, once the player collides into the collider, again, this has the little collider there. When the player, and again, only to the player, nothing else. If the player has the key, which is set to true, it'll then print the string that we saw earlier that says key collected, and then it'll go ahead and destroy the actor that's involved. And that is the basic way to set this up that I found. So the door will only work if the player has the key, otherwise the door won't do anything and it'll print the string that says key required. And that is how I managed to get this in. I was unable to I reset it in the wrong spot, so now I can't get out, but I was unable to get the buttons in, so I added in the keys. And they do the trick. So that is the key mechanic. The player has to get the key in order to access the door, otherwise the player cannot access the door as mentioned before. And there you have it. That is the mechanic. Thank you for watching.